Anyway, so shall we start?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. How do we want to do this to make sure we are on all on the same page? Yeah, I'm just gonna open the first link. So we are gonna be starting with Ireland, um, the Republic of Ireland part. We're gonna do Northern Ireland as part of the UK. A little bit controversial. Anyway, the thing about anyway, I'm gonna be always talking a little bit on the location. Feel free to interject if you want to add something. If you could maybe guys open the links and just kind of see if you can see something you want to talk about as well. It would be cool. I'm opening the first Irish link now. Hi, Ravello and Pasta, by the way. Yeah. Okay, so we
Is
are.
this sorry, Simi. So when people mention Irish driveways, is this an example of that?
Let me see.
Got different stuff for Northern Ireland, but
yeah. I think that's probably a better question for Simerodge because I'm not really I'm not really that confident in the British Isles. Personally, I would say Irish driveways tend to be a little bit longer. Like the houses can be a little bit farther away from the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what we are looking at right now is a typical country house, and this is what like 90% of houses in rural Ireland look like. You have this long rectangle, like perpendicular to the road. You have a black roof, and the house color is either white, yellow, like tan, or it's just plain stone. So yeah, very typical here. Look here. Especially the question for Simerodge and GC. If you were to compare this kind of look to a typical UK house, what would you say would be the main differences?
I think
sorry, no, go on, Jason.
so the main couple of things I noticed, slate roofs like this. I think that's slate. Like you see that like pretty much everywhere in Ireland, but in the UK, it's more you find it more within pockets. I would say more kind of along the west of the UK. And then yeah, the kind of pastel coloured walls as well. They're the kind of the two things that I tend to notice.
Yeah, I think I don't know what you call that material. I call it render. I don't know if that's right, but I would say it's probably like darker in the UK. They tend not to use like pastel colours.
Yeah.
Unless it's like East Anglia way, you get quite a lot of kind of pastel colours around there, but yeah, you get a lot more bungalows as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a weird one.
True. Yeah, I think generally in the UK you're more likely to see a bit more of the brickwork basically as well.
Yeah. The brickwork is definitely something I want to mention. Like, you quite rarely, in my experience, see exposed brick in Ireland, outside of Dublin. Yeah, so almost always like stone or white or yellow. Yeah, so that is the first location we have. Let's move on to the second one, which is described as a two-story village house. Yeah, and what we see here is a building that's more typical to like Eastern and Central Ireland. It's typically found in like settlements, and this is like it's like a typical village house from like the 19th century. The elements I would point out here would be, apart from the black roof we've seen before, would be the two chimneys at the sides. It's kind of a quintessential British Islands look for me, and it's especially very common in Ireland. Like, everywhere you see the villages around us, all of them just have the two chimneys in the corners, or like at the ends. It's I don't know why they do it. It's like, I guess it's really cold, so they need to fireplaces or whatever. But yeah, again, you see it's facing the road at the broadside. That's very typical for Ireland and the British Isles in general. You can very rarely see houses facing the road at a like vertical angle. Do you guys have anything to add?
I guess again, you can kind of notice a couple of the other things we mentioned on before, like not being able to see the brickwork. Weirdly, one thing I want to kind of explore is the slight crossover between Irish and Northwestern French architecture.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, like with the black
There are
roofs.
a couple of similar. I don't even know how to put my finger on it, but there are a couple of similarities, and I guess it's because they're both like Celtic areas, so there's probably some thread there that causes some kind of influence.
To be honest, I haven't noticed a house like that with a metal roof. I think that's metal, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've
it
never
is
seen
metal.
that before.
Yeah, so on the left you can see the typical like slate, and then on the right I think that's metal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've seen metal before, but it's definitely not as common. But yeah, it is black though, or black or dark gray. That is a very common feature. Yeah, you can see the house color. Again, no exposed brick. It's just gray. Yeah, this kind of light gray, white, as I said, yellow. It's like there's like 95% of houses you see. Although there are some exceptions. Let me go back and move on to the third link. Yeah, and this is one of the exceptions I meant. This is a village on the west coast in County Kerry, and it is super colorful here. And I don't actually know if this is true, but my personal explanation is that fishermen used to paint houses like super bright colors, so they could see it from afar in the fog.
Yeah,
That makes sense because you get a lot of islands off the west coast of Scotland with colourful houses like that.
Yeah,
So it could definitely be something to do with that, yeah.
yeah, and I haven't really seen like colors like this outside of the West Coast or like the coast in general. So, as
the
I said,
other.
sorry,
Sorry,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, even in England, like on the coast, you find these little huts and cabins by the coast that are quite brightly coloured as well, which kind of lends weight to the fisherman theory.
Yeah. Anyway, another thing I want to point out here is that again, all the houses are facing the road at their broadside. It's like a row house look. And another thing I want to point out is that a lot of these houses are very plain. Like, there's not a lot of decorations here. Like, you have no awnings around the windows. No. Oh god, I don't know the English words, but like, no like ornaments on the
Shutters?
sides.
Oh.
Yeah, no shutters as well. Yeah, just very plain. It's also kind of typical for the British Isles in general. Although it is even more visible in Ireland because you don't have to expose brick. So
Also, another thing I noticed just from like these pictures, a lot of them have black or like dark gray roofs, and they seem to all be pointing like facing down towards the road. Would you say that's like something normal in Ireland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can definitely see the features we talked about before, like the black roofs, the chimneys at the sides. Another thing is the windows. Like Ireland and the UK, like because of the British influence, are probably the only two countries in Europe where sliding windows are common instead of like being open out. So as you can see on this like older stone house, you see like these two-part sliding windows. You basically won't see that outside of the UK or Ireland.
That's interesting. Yeah, we've got a big sliding one in our kitchen, and it's a pain because it gets stiff.
It is a little bit of a pain, isn't it? Yeah, it's no wonder the rest of Europe doesn't follow suit. Yeah, and as you can see here on this blue house, you very commonly see these two-part windows. Even if they are not sliding, like these are sliding doors, sliding windows. I mean, but if we
Yeah.
move on
They slide
here,
up, yeah.
yeah, if I move on here, you have these kinds of windows which do open up, but they are still like just two-part. This is a look you won't really see outside of Ireland, in my experience. Like with the thinner upper part, just a very
But in the
Irish thing.
UK, I think.
Yeah, I think the UK you can see similar windows.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's a little bit more common in
Yeah.
Ireland
Yeah.
than UK. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's enough for this location. Let's move on. To typical modern country house. I actually remember a lot about these locations, so yeah. This is again an example of a rural home. You have a cute donkey here. There's like post-war, I think like I would say like 60s, 70s. What stands out here is the huge windows. That's kind of a big contrast between like older, like pre-World War II housing and the newer stuff. Is that older houses tend to have pretty tiny windows actually, while the newer ones are trying to overcompensate, I guess, and just go all out. So you have huge windows facing the road here. But once again, you have the rectangle shape pointing facing the road on the bird side. You have the black roof, kind of grayish color. Next door you have a yellow house. Yellow is also very a typical color here. Over there there's white, so you have all the three most common colors here, and all of them have a black like slate roof. So
This house in front of us, the main one, I think.
yeah.
I think in maybe some coastal parts of southeast England, you could see a sort of similar style to this. I'd have to have a kind of have a look around to work out what the differences are, but it does remind me of some houses. I don't know why I'm thinking more of coastal areas, but I think you can see something a little bit similar to this in the UK.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Especially the coast because I guess it's more sunny and yeah, more sunny and people want to view. Yeah, that's kind of a tricky thing about Europe, especially since like a lot of these styles are very similar. Like you gotta look out for, you gotta either have experience or look out for like really subtle details sometimes to pick it out.
And Wolf Trekker makes a good point. He says, yeah, you get quite a lot of bungalows on the coast in England, which is maybe what's ringing a bell for me there.
I don't know, DT. I mean, you know those like corner bricks on the left of that house.
Yeah.
They are very. I find them a lot in Ireland.
Okay. Yeah.
Northern Ireland and sometimes Scotland. You can see them in different colours. But yeah, I don't know if the Southern England houses have those. I'd have to check.
Probably not the corner thing. I think more just maybe the kind of bungalow and window kind of style.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point you brought up, the corner bricks here. That's also a very particular look in Ireland. This kind of usually it's like red or brown.
Grey.
Yeah, gray as well. Yeah, it's like oftentimes it's like the only bit of decoration you see on these houses. Like they tend to be pretty plain, but you have these corner bricks. So yeah, that's definitely one other thing to look out for. But as Sim said, it's you can also find it in the UK, but it's definitely more of an Irish thing. Yeah. Physics. On the call with me is GC, Simerodge, and RC, the three grades. Yeah, I can also look at the yellow house, very similar again. Okay, let's move on to the next location. which is Western Modern Country House. Okay. Again, I don't really remember. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is this kind of house. I want to point out the like more contemporary building trends in Ireland. This is like really modern. Like you can even see construction equipment around. So this is definitely taking inspiration from like traditional styles in Ireland. So again, you see it's a long rectangle, broadside to the road, slate roof, but one thing I noticed on a lot of modern Irish homes is these dark windows, like dark gray or black.
Mm.
You don't really see that on older houses, I think. It's more like post 1960s, I would say. But it's yeah, it's very common on modern housing. And
that's really interesting. Because I've never really noticed this type of house before, but it's all the same principles as the older style, with like the color of the roof, the color of the walls, the fact there's no brick, etc. But it's just a kind of brand new version of the same thing in a way.
You do get them a lot in Northern Ireland as well, so be careful.
Yeah.
Few country streakers out there.
Yeah, Ireland, Northern Ireland can be very tricky, especially. I think we'll see that today. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of want to bring it up as like an example of the like more modern styles. It's definitely attempting to mimic the traditional styles, especially since we're in County Galway on the west coast, which is more like the more traditional Celtic part of Ireland. So I'm guessing there might be, I don't know, some sort of regulations or I don't know. Yeah, another thing I want to point out here is these like half dormers like poking out to the roof. This is a very British Islands thing, in my opinion. Like you can see that in other countries, I think, like sometimes, but it is very common in Ireland and the UK, especially. We'll see that in when we move on to the UK. But it's something I want to bring attention to. Yeah, anything to add, guys?
No, that's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, just learning along the way, honestly.
Yeah.
That's okay. Don't be afraid to chime in though. Yeah, let's move to the next location, which is going to be an urban location. So we're going to move on into the cities. This is in Cop. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's I'm sure some of the more experienced people have seen this place before. It's where Titanic sailed out of, I think. It used to be called Queenstown, I'm pretty sure. It's like a lot of like Irish immigrants sailed out of that. It's because it's like the harbor of Cork. So yeah, but it's a really pretty place, and I think it's a great example of the kind of architectural trends you're gonna see in urban Ireland. Colby, it's apparently pronounced. Very nice. Yeah, Irish has these like incredibly weird pronunciation patterns, like to most of us, I think. But it is really nice. Anyway,
there are a lot of names that, in the kind of traditional Irish Gaelic spelling, are quite different to how they sound.
Yeah, what I want to put in here is the colors. Once again, we are on the coast and in a city, and you see all kinds of colors here. You see yellow, you see green, you see blues, and again as well as the whites and the yellows, which are the typical look. Once again, you see the black roofs. No house in Ireland can be complete without a red black roof. You see the chimneys on the sides of buildings. I think the houses also sometimes share the chimneys. I'm not sure though. Yeah, they're just very big here. Because like there's a lot of fireplaces here. Over there, you see a lot of colorful houses there. This is something you, in my experience, don't really see in England or like the UK, because in those areas, the houses tend to be more like exposed brick. Once again, I think if you had to bring like 2 main lessons out of this whole thing about Ireland, it's black roofs and basically no exposed brick. Since I think those are the 2 main tips that will help you differentiate these places from UK. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I agree.
It's very, very rare to find brick houses in Ireland, I find.
Yeah, definitely. Although there are still some, we're gonna see that. But yeah, once again, I also wanted to point out the 2-part windows. I think some of these are sliding, some of these open, but yeah, 2-part, very uncommon outside of Ireland and UK. Yeah, that's basically all I wanted to point out here. If you guys don't have any more thoughts.
No, I've never really like explored a lot of these coastal Irish towns, so the kind of colourful buildings like this, not as familiar with, but it's interesting to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same for me.
Yeah, it's something I noticed quite recently. Like the
Yeah.
theory about the fishermen. I think I've heard that in a different place. I think
Yeah,
what was it, Greece or Portugal or something like that. But I think it makes sense personally. Anyway, we can move on to an old crofter house. Okay, jumping between different places because as we found the locations, but hopefully it's understandable. Okay, what is this? I don't know if everybody knows what who a crofter is. I'm not perfectly up to speed on my Irish history, but I'm pretty sure it's like a basically an equivalent of a tenant farmer. Like
Yeah.
yeah, they farmed really small plots of land, like divided by these stone walls that plot the landscape. Very poor. They made up the bulk of the Irish emigrants because they suffered a lot by the potato famine. And this is what the typical old rural house would look like. Once again, you see the typical elements. It's a big old rectangle with a black slate roof, white color, and a big chimney. Also very small windows, because so as not to let the heat out and the rain in. Yeah, very very plain style. Not a lot of luxury to be had here.
yeah. The colours here are interesting to me because the kind of red and white surprises me for Ireland. So I guess I've never really seen too many of these before.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, the red doesn't seem to pop out a lot. Maybe in cities or like the coastal places.
Yeah.
Yeah, no overhangs as well. Oh yeah, another thing I want to point out here. That's when I chose this house, is like the elevated edges on both sides. You see that? It's like slightly elevated, like above the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also something I see a lot in Ireland. I forgot to point it out
Okay.
before, but that I see as a very Irish thing, like these slightly elevated edges. And I don't really see that in the UK as well, so that's another thing that will help me to say this is Ireland over UK. Although I mean, if you look at the landscape, we're probably very confidently say this is Ireland over UK. But you know, if you're looking just at the house, yeah. Any more thoughts?
I think
No,
it's
I'd never noticed that before.
yeah. It's just interesting how many tiny details there are that could really help you, like in the game. Like stuff that you would never think to, look at or notice, but if you actually pay attention to it, you can notice these patterns that can really help you out in Geoguessr.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we could be basically going over these countries forever, like pointing out more and more things that could help you helpful, but yeah, we gotta keep it slightly compact. Anyway, let's move on to a typical suburb. This is a suburb of Dublin. Yeah, from the post-war era. Hey, there's a dog. Yeah, this looked like very 60s, 70s. which is an era where Ireland was growing economically a lot. People wanted to move out of those crappy old crofter houses, and basically every Irish city is surrounded by rings of these pretty dreary suburbs in my experience. But yeah.
Some of those walls, I think, are pebble dashed, which we see in the UK as well.
Oh,
Here, it's the colours that would seem wrong for the UK here.
Yeah. I think I specifically chose this location because it can be very hard to differentiate from the UK. So
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to go over from of like some distinguishing features we can find here. Personally, what would tip me off here would be the colors, the whites, the yellows, the grays. I think if this was the UK, it would either be exposed brick in the south and like central parts, or grey in Scotland. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. You'll see a very similar location later in the UK one.
Yeah. This can be very tricky. Like if we didn't have the car with the white plate here, I would definitely be questioning myself for quite a long time if this was for Ireland or the UK. Also, while the roofs here aren't black, they are pretty dark, so that could be another tip. Yeah, but
Another thing I noticed is the windows are pretty big, like that other newer house that you showed us.
oh yeah. As I said, it tended to overcompensate a little bit after a war, so yeah, huge windows here. But in my experience, that's true in like British suburbs as well, for the most part.
I could see myself guessing something like, if we didn't have the plates and stuff like that, I could see myself, maybe getting this one wrong and going with Wales or something. I don't know.
Pasta says that black cladding looks strange. I'm not exactly sure what he means here.
I think on that house in front of the blue car, is that what he means?
Yeah. I think that that's right. Yeah, that's a little bit strange. I wouldn't be confident to say this is something you'll typically see though. It's more of a, I guess, particular preference of the owner. You have like a strip here. I guess they used to make it a little bit more interesting, and they painted black. Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of a bait, but yeah. So we probably agreed the color would be the biggest differentiator here.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the final Irish location actually, which is going to be a modern suburb. This is in County Kildare. I think this is like west of Ireland. I forget where it is. I don't know my Irish counties. Anyway, this is like from the era of like the real estate boom, which is like mid 2000s to the financial crisis, where like new neighborhoods like this were just popping out all over. Like Ireland had a huge oversupply of these new suburban houses, and it just burst, and now nobody can afford a house. It's kind of ironic in a sense. But anyway, what if you are looking at here? I also wanted to choose this location once again because this definitely wouldn't be out of place in Britain, especially since we do see quite a lot of brick. What would you guys say would make you guess Ireland here instead of UK or otherwise?
Yeah, this is weird to me. I would struggle to work this one out. This is quite yeah. I'd say this is I'm not sure actually how I'd think this one through.
Yeah, I've never seen a housing estate look like that before.
Yeah.
I think the UK uses a lot more like pure red brick, or they use complete render. I've never seen like too much of a mix before
Yeah.
in my experience.
The kind of is that wooden?
Yeah, and the wood panels are
paneling?
weird.
Yeah, that would be really weird in the UK, I think. That's almost like that. Almost is like Scandinavian looking. The paneling. I don't know, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess it's kind of an international style. Like,
Yeah.
I guess these kind of houses won't be really out of place anywhere in Europe. That's kind of, yeah, that's kind of why like post-World War II areas are the toughest, I guess, to recognize in general because everything just got a lot more homogenized.
I think as well the kind of boom you were talking about. I think the UK has its own like housing developments that were probably built around that era that look quite weird and kind of different to everything else. And I think
I think yeah, you're right. Like I think that a lot of developers were looking towards Europe and they were like, oh, let's be designers and let's go a little bit out of the box. But I don't think they realized that maybe UK weather or the surrounding architecture really fits in.
yeah.
Like the wood, especially in Ireland, is weird to me because it rains a lot in Ireland, and that wood would discolor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not the most practical thing.
Yeah, I'm guessing they used some kind of treating. Like you see a lot of wood in Scandinavia as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they would discover some kind of oil or whatever to protect it. But yeah, it definitely isn't the most practical, as you said. Anyway, what I would probably use here the most would once again be the old reliable roof, like black roofs. I think it's quite rare in these more modern developments in the UK, wouldn't you say? Yeah, and also, yeah, the wooden windows are like, I don't know, maybe they're plastic, just made to look like wood, but I would also, with this kind of color, I would also be unsure whether if that would fit UK, because yeah, they must tend to be plastic, as Oddish guy in the chat pointed out. But yeah,
I'm just putting a link in chat. Sorry, of what Sim was talking about with the kind of developers trying out weird new designs. I'm just showing an example of that kind of thing. Sorry, carry on, Simmy.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to end it on quite a tricky location. So yeah, it's definitely not, if you end up in a neighborhood like it's definitely not easy to tell if you're in Ireland or UK if you don't have cars around. Yeah, just kind of do. It is not impossible here. Like thanks to the black roofs, I would probably guess Ireland here if I just got this as a random location. It would probably be the biggest obvious giveaway for me. Anyway, what I this is the last location we had saved, but one other thing I wanted to show. Let's go back to Dublin. Dublin is, like, in my experience, the only place in, like, the Republic where you see a lot of like exposed brick, like really British style architecture, because it was like as we can see here, it was like the center of the British administration in Ireland. So it followed it was the most English speaking, most anglicized, like culture wise, I guess. So they also followed the British architecture trends. So yeah, Dublin can be definitely very tough. Like you don't see a lot of the typical Irish elements we've seen before, apart from the black roofs. Once again, the goats, the slate. But yeah, you have a lot of. I'm sorry, you guys can see this. So but I'm on, like, if I guess if you wanna look it up on your own Google Maps, I'm on Lombard Street West in Dublin.
I'm looking at the stream too as well. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So we have a lot of exposed brick here. We have the colorful doors. We have white cladding around the windows and doors. This is just a British neighborhood, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like
it is. The one thing that looks slightly different to me, and I might be wrong, but it's very like very flat at the front. Like there's no like there's none of the wall that's like offset or like bits kind of sticking out alongside the front door. Like I feel like a lot of the time in the UK, there's a slightly more like the brickwork and bits would kind of stick out above the window or along the side of the door. I don't know if that. Yeah, it's just something that strikes me, but I'm not really sure if that's right.
Oh yeah, that is true. It is still pretty plain. Like, it might be because Ireland used to be poorer than the UK, but it might be just a stylistic choice, or it might be just this neighborhood in particular. Yeah, that's the kind of thing you would probably have to start thinking about if you got this on a country street and you had no plates.
Oddish has a good point as well. He says, yeah, these are single story. These would look weird in the UK to be single story. You'd expect 2 floors, I think, on this kind of house.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Like, I'm guessing land wasn't quite as expensive in Ireland, so they could afford to just build single story. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I think they're I think they're quite regretting it out because nobody can find a place to live in Dublin. Really appreciate it if I added an extra story back then. Anyway, yeah. As like I said, like probably again the most obvious thing pointing to Ireland here would be the black roofs. Besides that, this is very tricky. So yeah, look out for Dublin, baity city, very baity. Anyway, I think that was it for Ireland. Do you guys have anything to add about what we've seen? Something we would like to add or point out?
No, nothing to add from me, but it's all interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, let us move on to the big guy, the United Kingdom. This is made the locations we've chosen here, and like in general, this is more of the work of Simerodge and GC. So I'll probably let them take the word a lot.
Mostly Simerodge. She's the expert.
Yeah, mostly Simerodge, the MVP. As you obviously know, UK is quite diverse. Like, you have a lot of like common features, but you can also narrow it down quite a lot to at least a region or like a constituent country. So that is quite a good advantage if you can master that. So yeah, let's move on to the locations. We are starting off with a standard UK house. I think this is Simerodge's location, so I'll let you take the word.
That's mine, but I'm happy to talk about it.
I think
that might be,
one, but yeah.
might be classy. Yeah, go for it.
No, I mean, all I could say is I've noticed a lot. I've never noticed this anywhere, but in the South, especially in like Hampshire and Sussex, that area, that they have these houses that are like white with the brown. I don't even know what it is, but
It's almost like Tudor element that kind
yeah,
of.
Yeah.
This is quite a wealthy town, so this is quite a wealthy neighborhood, I'd say.
Yeah, Sevenoaks.
Yeah, I've only noticed that in the south of England. So if you see like this white and brown like element, then I would go in the south.
Yeah, Chester has a bit of like Tudor influence architecture as well, which I learned from Pizza Guy.
Yeah, you get it a lot in Warwick, York, that kind of thing. Older cities, but which are slightly more north than what we're talking about here, but it's very rare.
Yeah, I think it's generally southern.
Outside of like city centre, yeah, it's very rare.
Yeah, this kind of construction is called half timbered, if you didn't know, if somebody didn't know, or Fachwerk in German. So if you have this kind of like white or brick or red or whatever divided by these timbers, it's half timbered. And yeah, as you said, it is a mostly Southern English thing. From entire houses, like particular elements like this. Yeah, it's definitely Tudor inspired. I have personally seen it in a suburb in like Newcastle, I think, but it might have been like a particular stylistic choice for that neighborhood back when they built it, like in the 50s or whatever. It definitely is a more typical feature for the south, as you said. Let's see where this is actually. Sevenoaks is in Kent. I don't know who said it. Jojo. Very good guy. Yeah. Do you guys have anything to add?
No.
No.
Okay, nice. Let us move on. Yeah, we're gonna be jumping around a lot as we edit the locations, but hopefully you guys can. This is a what I marked as typical Northern English village.
So this.
Yeah, Cheesy, please.
I can talk a bit about this because this is where my mum's from, basically. Quite near here. So I've been to this town probably about 6 or 7 plus times in my life. This is very Yorkshire, like that. This color of brick, the kind of beige color, and a lot of it has been discolored by soot because of how industrialized this area was. So yeah, that's kind of, I think Yorkshire and Lancashire, you'd see that kind of thing most often. So you see how the brick is discolored, like it looks like it's kind of almost black brick, but actually the original color is that kind of sand color, but it's been discolored.
Yeah.
I really like it. I love Yorkshire, and Haworth is a great place.
Yeah, this place looks really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very nice place. Yeah, you can see very very nicely the soot here. You can see original color of the stone and discoloring. It's definitely a good point. I don't think I've noticed it before, but it's very true. You can also see basically virtually every house here has a exposed stone facade, which is not really a thing down south. Like in the south, like south of Manchester, I would say, the main construction material was brick or wood. So you either see exposed brick or it's like painted white or whatever. But Scotland and Northern England are very much stone territory.
You do get stone in places like Cornwall and Cotswolds. I think there are some locations that will show that.
Yeah, definitely.
But
like
it's not this stone, no. It's a slightly different style.
Yeah, I think like this darker, like soot-colored stone is like the Northern English, and Scottish thing. Actually, Scotland is more grey. So yeah, Northern England is definitely a great fit here. Also, you can see some dark windows here, even on older buildings. I would also say that it's more of a northern thing within the UK. What would you guys say?
Yeah,
I think so. It could also be a style thing, maybe to fit in with the darker coloured stone.
Yeah. The dark windows is something I think it's more of a recent thing, like definitely stylish. Like people like the windows used to be white.
I think it's I think as much as anything else, it's just a kind of like recent material choice.
Yeah, it's like a recent style, definitely. Yeah. Also, let me move down a little bit. One particular difference from Ireland we can spot here immediately are these subdivided windows. Like with these, first of all, you can see they're sliding, so two-part, but also have a lot of these square subdivisions. That's a very typical. That's something I associate mostly with the UK, even though it's not true. Like you can see it in other places, as we'll see in later episodes, like along the Atlantic coast. But this is something you see in Ireland quite rarely. But on older buildings in the UK, they're virtually everywhere. Yeah, this kind of very subdivided windows. Do you guys want to add anything about that?
No, I think you're right with the windows. That's a good point.
Yeah. There's something I noticed actually quite recently, that the Irish don't seem to like those very much. Like even on older buildings, which I assume used to have those. Like you see those simpler two-part windows, which you can actually see here. The two-part windows we've seen before in Ireland. You can see them here in the UK as well. So it is definitely a British Islands style. Oh, Odish says that in the UK, if the building is a listed building, the windows have to be the original style and can be changed to modern. Okay, so that might be a factor here. Yeah, but it's definitely some you see on older buildings all over. Like I think even on those that aren't listed, just the owners like to maintain the traditional style. I actually quite like it. It's a nice.
Yeah, we're actually right next to the Bronte Museum here as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it doesn't really level it down actually. Really nice. Yeah, let us move on to the next location, which is typical West Lothian, Middle Scotland housing estate. So I'm guessing this is a Simerodge location. So please.
How did you guess? Yeah. So this is the beautiful town of Livingston. So this is kind of very, very typical Scottish, middle of Scotland houses. So that kind of grey render on the outside. The windows are a bit all over the place, but yeah, you find these a lot in like places in West Lothian. So West Lothian is just west of Edinburgh. It's like in between Edinburgh and Glasgow. You do get it a lot in Fife, which is above Edinburgh. But yeah, this kind of typical grey style. You also don't get a lot of chimneys on these houses because
that would be a good. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
That would be a good way to differentiate it from Ireland, right, Sim?
Yeah, definitely, because these are slightly newer than probably the ones that were built in Ireland. But yeah, this kind of grey style is just very, very typical of Scotland. You see it all everywhere.
Yeah, What would point me to Ireland here is first of all that green sheen, that grey sheen, as you mentioned. Like associated very grey color with Scotland most of all. I don't know why they do it, because it just makes it look so much more depressing. But I guess it's cheap or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Oddish, if it's that early. I think it's actually later, to be honest. Livingston's quite a new town. But I'd have to do my research there. I'm not entirely sure.
I would say like 70s would fit here.
Yeah,
personally.
maybe late 70s, early 80s. I'm not sure when Livingston was like about, but
Yeah, another thing that I think stands out to me here from like similar suburbs that are more south is the windows are quite a bit smaller than I usually expect in like these modern British houses. Like as you see here, it's like a pretty small square. They're pretty narrow or pretty
a lot
low.
smaller than the ones in Ireland that we saw. Yeah,
you think they'd need all the light they can get.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe it's because the insulation is not great, so they want to preserve all the heat they have, or I don't
yeah,
know.
possibly.
Yeah, in my experience down in England, especially in the south and by the coast, as Cheesy mentioned before, the windows tend to be quite a bit bigger. I think we'll see that in a few upcoming locations. So
1962. Okay.
So yeah, that's definitely something that caught my ear here. Anything to add?
No, not for me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Very good. Let's move on to the another location, which is a northern Scottish house.
I put 2 there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's we can look at both. So let's start with this one, which is a more modern
Just
one.
because Yeah, so this I think this obviously can be confused with Ireland, right? But as you can see that the roof is slightly different. So you've got, I don't know what kind of style roof that is. I'm not an architect, but it's a slightly different shape. You also tend to get a lot of windows that are kind of this brownish colour in Scotland. Again, not sure the reason for that. And you also get that kind of pebble dashed outside, typically white, especially in northern Scotland.
Yeah.
It almost looks like Central European in a way.
It does, yeah.
You could see that in I don't know, like the mountains somewhere in Central Europe. I'm not sure exactly where.
Yeah, maybe with the roof style, what really stands out here to me is like typical British is those windows that jut out to the front.
Bay windows, yeah.
Bay windows, yeah, that's what you call it, yeah. There's something I forgot to point out in Ireland actually, but this is a very typically British building element, like these big bay windows everywhere. Which you rarely see in Ireland actually, like even in the suburbs. So that's another good clue. Like if you see a lot of these kinds of bay windows, that's a probably good clue you are in the UK. Although it's not exclusive to the UK, as we'll see. Never that simple. But we'll get to that later. Yeah. Also really big windows actually compared to the houses we saw before. Yeah. Rafaelo actually pointed out that the smaller the windows, the less it costs the council to build. So I'm guessing this is an issue.
Always
Like,
cutting costs.
yeah, like the previous one was probably public housing, and this is a private residence. So yeah. Anything to add?
No.
Okay. Let's move on to the other one. Whoops. Sorry. Yeah. This is an older style building. So please.
So this you get a lot in Scotland as well. You do get it a lot in northern England too. So do be aware. But yeah, this kind of mixed stone outside, this kind of lighter color, not as dark as we saw in GC's location, but it's definitely a lot lighter. It's a lot flatter as well. You tend to get these kind of peaked roofs as well. Kind of very uniform windows. You get these so much in places like near Aberdeen, basically everywhere, and northern England, as I said.
Yeah, what I'm going to point out here is the grey stone this is built out of. This is something I definitely associate with Scotland or like very far northern England. Like compared to the northern English locations we saw before, you definitely see the absence of the soot, and yeah, it is a very grey look.
Are we in a national park here?
Let me check. I don't think so. This is.
I don't think so. No, I think this is near.
Yeah, this is just.
Oh no, maybe we are.
This is north of Perth, so I don't think this is an actual national park.
Yeah, it's kind of in between them.
But yeah, I think as Reupload's saying, yeah, it kind of like I feel like in some of the national parks in northern England, you might see some like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know why that it makes national parks. I don't know what it is, but
yeah. As for what would differentiate this bit from Ireland, for me it would definitely be the more complicated shape. Like it's not a simple rectangle. That even like the more modern or posh houses tend to keep. And you also have a lot of these peaks on the side. You can barely see that here. Let me move a bit. Yeah, but this, yeah, a lot of these like peaks on the roof. I also see that a lot in Britain, and especially in like more in the north compared to Ireland.
It's to like base it off. Obviously, Scotland has a lot of castles in the area. Don't know if it's maybe based off of that.
Yeah, they maybe trying to copy the country estate a little bit.
Yeah.
Very pretty location. The forest, really nice. Yeah. Anything to add, guys?
No,
no.
I don't think.
Okay, nice. Let's move on to the next one, which is gonna be a London tourist house. Is it a GC or a Simerodge location?
A London...
I added it, but
Yeah, okay, let's see this one.
GC can probably take over here.
Maybe. Okay.
But I find these like kind of Victorian / Edwardian
Yeah.
houses are very typical of London.
Yeah,
You see
definitely.
that kind of tiled footpath up towards the door. I see them a lot in London.
Yeah, definitely.
Bay windows. A lot of the time you find that they've built into the roof because of money, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's a tile. There's a tile footpath I was talking about. It's something I actually never noticed before. Is that seen as like a London thing?
I see it a lot in London.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
You also get quite like, I mean, I don't know if any of these houses have them, but like they have quite like elaborate front doors, with like painted glass in the middle.
What's
Usually,
those things on above the windows? Those are very strange and interesting looking.
I think in a lot of these, facade is always quite. There's always quite a lot going on. So like, there's a bit of depth, and then there's maybe some
especially kind of... these ones with the red and the brick and the white.
Yeah, that's just a stylistic thing. But yeah, I think a lot of this kind of style you see in London, there are different types of it, but I think a lot of the time when you get a kind of a street of kind of quite densely packed but fancy houses like that, I think that's a good clue for London.
Quite an extreme example, but that kind of general style I associate a lot with London.
We're definitely getting to the like more I don't know, stereotypical British look. Like you have the exposed brick, which again very stark difference to the Irish locations we saw and the Scottish locations we saw, as well as the white elements, and that's very good that you could throw it up. The British were, especially in the Victorian times or Edwardian or whenever this was built, were quite conservative in terms of style. Like they wanted their exposed brick, but they tried to make it up like with the like really elaborate like stuccos and like kind of playing with the brick and arranging it in a really in different shapes and ornaments, and yeah, it is very fancy, and it definitely creates a very interesting look.
A non-architectural clue here is actually on that parking sign where it says W3. That means Wandsworth, so you get a nice 4999 here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so yeah, definitely this brick and white look is very typical for England, in my opinion. Like this is what any like upscale suburb of a big British city would look like. Yep. Anything to add, guys?
No, not really.
One other thing I want to point out was the bay windows, especially on this side, like you see here and here, just everywhere sticking out, trying to expand that floor area for the price. Yeah, let us move on to the next location, which is gonna be a Welsh village terraced housing.
Yeah. So I was trying to find like a typical mining village because they're also very typical, but these kind of it's kind of like it's not flat brick, it sticks out, and it's very, very dark, and you get a lot of these like decorative bricks around the windows, especially in Wales. So this is like a typical kind of mining. Well, this is a mining village in Wales, I think, or it's near the area. But yeah, you can see that kind of grey. It's weird because it's got the brick on the front and it's got kind of the grey render, which we saw in the Scottish location that I showed you on the side. So it's not all brick all the way around.
Yeah, do you think it's maybe like decorative, like the stones on the front? Or
Probably.
maybe it's like more expensive to maintain, so they just keep it in the
Yeah.
front and cover the rest. Yeah, that's really interesting with the like with the bricks or yeah, because yeah, I don't think these are stone, so it might just be decorative, but they're sticking out. They're not flat. That's something you don't really see a lot in the UK, I would say. Yeah, and the colorful bricks around the windows. That's another great thing. I haven't really noticed that before a lot. Is that like typical for Wales?
I've see it. I've only seen it in Wales. I mean, obviously we saw like a toned down version in the London location that we just looked at, but yeah, this kind of decoration I've only seen in Wales. And also to mention, the roof style is very different. As you can see, you've got slate roofs, similar to the island locations that we saw, just because of the fact that these mining villages there was a lot of slate quarries and stuff like that near these. It's quite famous in Wales.
Yeah, that pastel house I could definitely mistaken with Ireland, but the other ones, because they have the brick, this like really dark brick, definitely wouldn't see in Ireland. So yeah.
Yeah. Definitely for me, what would differentiate this from Ireland would be first of all that dark brick, and second of all those decorations around the windows. Like as you mentioned, like Irish houses tend to be very plain. Like not a lot of spare ornaments to be found. So this kind of a little bit more extravagant style would definitely put me to the UK first. Despite the roofs, like beaded black roofs, but yeah, it definitely makes sense. Yeah, it's very interesting with the bricks. Yeah, as we've seen in London, these kind of decorations around the windows are very common, but they usually tend to be like either red to be like shared color with the surrounding brick or white. So these kind of colorful bricks are definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Is this Southern Valleys? Yeah, it is Southern Valleys. Oh, just barely. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the next one, which is a Northern England terraced brick housing.
Yeah. So this is in Blackburn. I thought I'd add in the English flag for all of you England football fans. So this kind of, I mean, you don't tend to see it on hills, but I mean, I've never seen it really on a hill of this steep, but you see them a lot on flat roads as well, like this kind of very typical red brick housing, usually with only a couple of windows per house. Yeah, this is so Northern England, it's unbelievable, basically.
Yeah, this is like for me, this is like the quintessential British neighborhood. Like these very narrow, very small houses with exposed brick. And it
Yeah, you
just,
get them like very, very straight roads. not a lot of curves or anything. Yeah.
Yeah, these were built to stuff factory workers into, so they didn't want to put a lot of money into it. Yeah, very simple, not a lot of decorations once again, except for few white bits and pieces around the windows.
Yeah, I think these are a little bit newer than the ones further down. Maybe slightly newer.
There are some similarities with like the northeastern like mining town
Yeah.
houses, except just in terms of like the kind of size and how they're terraced and the kind of the red brick.
Yeah.
So like Sunderland and Durham and a lot of that kind of area, you'd see, and Middlesbrough, like you see a lot of streets that have a lot of these kind of identical terraced red brick houses.
Yeah, I moved down the block a little bit. Yeah, as you can see, it's all very similar, very narrow. Yeah, you can see a little bit of decoration around the windows. Once again, it's white. Something you might see sometimes or on more fancy houses is using like very light yellow sandstone to do these bits around the windows and doors. But it's typically more like suburban neighborhoods, less than these like worker tenements. You wouldn't spend that kind of money.
You tend not to get like a front garden either. It's just like basically straight onto the street. Those houses like that we saw just a little bit further up, that's kind of an exception. But most of these houses are literally the front door is right on the street. So
Yeah, like in a more like fancier row house developments, like you would see around London and stuff. You would see like these little front gardens, and you would see bay windows sticking out, like larger windows. That would be like the middle class neighborhoods from this era. This is like, when would you say this was built? Like 1880s, 1890s?
I have no idea.
That's okay.
Do you have an idea?
That's okay. Yeah, and here I took a peek into a back alley. As you can see, all of these houses have a back extension, which is where the kitchen used to be. Over time, people have done additions and stuff, but yeah, these blocks usually have a smaller alley running in the back where the trash is put, and you have just very small gardens with like a shed in the back. So yeah. Also, you can probably buy drugs in this alley, I would guess. Not a great neighborhood from what I can see from real trash around, but yeah. Anything to add here, guys?
No.
No.
Okay, nice. Let's move on to the next location, which is gonna be Glasgow flat blocks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So maybe that's the wrong location. Anyway, no, it's fine. This kind of typical. It's not as grey. This kind of flat sandstone look. You get a lot on typical like Scottish cities. So you get it a lot in Glasgow. You get it a lot in Edinburgh, like the suburbs of Edinburgh as well. Again, like very big kind of semi-detached houses. You get a lot of these in Glasgow and Edinburgh. Again, you've got bay windows, kind of grey, slightly greyish roofs, but typical like this kind of sandstony, kind of light tan black stone is very typical of Glasgow, Edinburgh, and I would say Aberdeen mostly. I was gonna I thought I'd added a Glasgow like block of flats because they're also very similar. They're a similar kind of stone coloured to the houses that I've just showed you. And Edinburgh flats are a slightly darker, kind of greyish colour. Yeah, this is posh Glasgow. Yeah. So that house that you're in front of now, that kind of reddish colour, you would see a lot on like a Glasgow block of flats, like in the city centre. Whereas Edinburgh flat blocks are a slightly greyer colour. And I'll put a location in the chat if you want to compare. But
yeah, a fence lad lives here. There's a Bentley in the driveway. This color of this particle house we are looking at, this like pinkish color or like honey color. I don't know how I would explain it. This is like the one tone of stone in the UK that I've memorized that I associate with Glasgow. In my mind, it's a very particular look. Like you obviously see stone houses outside of Glasgow as well, but never in this like again it's like pinkish hue. So it's a very useful clue, I would say.
Yeah, that colour's really interesting. I didn't.
Edinburgh and Glasgow, yeah, you get a lot of these.
Yeah, actually, I can look at the try to find the blocks of flats that Simerodge mentioned. I think this street should have some. Yeah. Here we can see. Yeah, very stony look compared to what you see down south.
Yeah, these are probably more similar to Edinburgh. You do get quite a lot of ones that are a slightly more red colour, like maybe maroon.
Yeah. I was actually thrown off a little bit here because it's not exactly the hue I expected, but as you said, is my internet dying? Guys, is my internet dying?
I guess 0141's Glasgow.
Okay. Good. It's back. Yeah, I can maybe open the link that you sent. Okay, so that's Edinburgh. Yeah. It definitely looks grayer. A little bit more posh as well, I would say.
Looks like Street might be dead.
It's back. It's back for me.
Yeah.
Back for me as well.
Okay, no. Yeah, I'm sorry, my internet went out briefly, I think.
Oh yeah, this is classic Edinburgh to me.
Yeah, also what I would want to point out here is the two-part windows once again, similar to Ireland. And yeah, also some darker windows as well, like this brownish hue that Simerodge talked about. So that's probably a good clue for Scotland as well. And compared to Edinburgh, you see these older style subdivided windows. Yeah, it's probably going to be like Georgian neighborhood, I would guess.
Yeah, this is Georgian architecture. Edinburgh has a lot of. They also have a lot of these like stairs up to the front door, and then like basements underneath.
Yeah, this is like the typical Georgian terrace you would see in a lot of the UK, except here there are stone facades, whereas usually they would be either brick or white in like London and stuff. I kind of want to find the more red colored blocks of flats.
Let me see if I can find one as well.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a place like this in Glasgow before. Oh, we can see it here actually a little bit. Yeah, you can see this a little bit of a hue here.
I've got a really good one. Hang on.
Okay.
I'll put it in the chat.
Let me see. Oh yeah, this is a good one. Yeah, that's the red hue. I wanted to mention, yeah. And once again, two-part windows. Not a lot of those older style older style subdivided windows. I think it's because Edinburgh was a big city like even before Industrial Revolution, whereas Glasgow kind of exploded in the mid to late 19th century. So a lot of these newer houses were built, and I guess these two-part windows were cheaper than the subdivided type.
This kind of building I've seen in some English cities, I think.
Oh yeah, now that you mention it, I definitely do recall seeing one of these in Manchester.
Manchester, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
So maybe you could chalk it up to like more of a northern English Scottish thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you. Let's move on to the next one, which is gonna be typical East of England village.
Yeah. So I was talking a little bit about the kind of pastel colours used in like East Anglia and stuff. So this is a village called Clare, which is beautiful, by the way, if you're down that area. So yeah, you've got these kind of like you usually get a lot of pink, this kind of pinkish color. I think it's because I don't know, they mix the mixture in with like pig's blood or something like that. And you get it a lot in on stone and also on like barn conversions as well, or like thatched houses a lot in East Anglia.
Yeah, definitely interesting. That not a lot of brick here.
You can definitely see the difference to like GC's location to this one. You've also got that Tudor style house on the right.
Yeah, I definitely see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, what I wanted to mention is that one reason I would see for a lot of these houses being painted is that in the past, like having a half-timbered or like wooden house was a sign of poverty. So people used to paint over that so as to make their houses look like they were made of bricks or stone. So since this is, I think this is like a pretty flat like agricultural area. So I'm guessing a lot of these houses might be made of wood. Like for example, if you look here at this house, like you see that bit jutting out. Like that's typically a feature of like half-timbered houses. So they might have wanted to cover it up. So
That's interesting.
yeah, to make it look like it was made of stone or brick. Yeah, definitely very interesting. Like also, the windows are very plain. Like you don't see those like intricate brick bits around the windows as we've seen before. Just very plain and colorful, and also a lot of these again old subdivided windows. Like for example, if you were to take this location and differentiate from the from Ireland without the cars and obviously and stuff, what would be the main things you would point at?
I would say probably the colours. The roofs as well are kind of like a brownish reddish colour. Very different to the ones that we saw. Like, I mean, you do get some grey, but like, yeah, that kind of colour is quite typical. And
Windows maybe with the more
yeah,
divided.
But I feel like the brick chimneys also, you don't really see brick in Ireland.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And another thing that stood out to me was the peaks on the houses. Like a lot of these houses have one or more peaks, like facing the street. That's also something you don't see a lot in Ireland or in other parts of the UK as well, for that matter. Like in the British Isles, generally, the houses tend to face the street at their broadside, so um, you don't see peaks a lot, and yeah. Very nice place. Anything more to add?
no, not for me. No.
Okay, nice. Yeah, we can see a little bit of a fancier house here with white white decorations around the windows. Okay, let's move on to the next location, which is a typical Northern Irish driveway. So we are moving to Northern Ireland a bit.
Sorry, we're kind of jumping around, but yeah. So this was like one of the only example. Well, there are other better examples, but this is like, especially when I'm doing like country streaks, I see a lot of these kind of big driveways up to houses a lot in Northern Ireland. So you can probably see that the house style is similar to an Irish house. But the driveways are just, I don't know, I just see them so much in Northern Ireland. And I would recommend, if you're trying to like distinguish between Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, is to play the country street map by Wolf Tracker, because he's got a lot of these examples in that map. It comes up quite a lot.
How many locations are in that?
On the map.
Yeah.
Let me check. There's quite a lot, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter the exact number. Just a lot.
I'll link it in the chat as well, so people can play it. But this is the one that I did my record on. It's got over 1,000 locations.
Yeah, I got a really good question from Jacqueline in the chat. What would make you go Northern Ireland over Ireland here?
I mean, it's tricky. I think even people that are like experienced in the game, especially this part of the world, would struggle here. But I don't know, comparing to the like bungalow house that we saw earlier, the roof looks different, and that kind of brick on the bottom of the house we didn't see earlier as much. Also, you do get quite a lot of, especially in the map that I just linked, you get quite a lot of these like big driveways up to really, really fancy houses. I don't know if that's to do with the fact that the land is cheaper, or it's cheaper to build houses in Northern Ireland. But I'm sorry I couldn't find an example of that. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I think it just comes with practice and luck.
Yeah, this is definitely a very tricky area. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything to differentiate Ireland from Northern Ireland. Because I mean, it's basically the same country, right? So the trends wouldn't.
Yeah, there's another big driveway.
The trends wouldn't be that different. Like, maybe one thing I can see here, like I just drove up to this house. You can see the subdivided windows here. I would say that's more of a sign of a British, like in Northern Irish house, because as I said before, the Irish really don't seem to be very fond of these windows. Like, maybe they remind them of like British colonialism or whatever, but really very rarely see them in the countryside. And this seems to be a recent construction as well, so seems like a deliberate choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as I drive up further, you can see the white buildings, big chimneys, black roofs, just very Irish here. Yeah, not a lot of advice I can give here. Oh yeah, one other thing. One thing that that did come to me were these where this exposed brick neighborhood we are looking at. Especially in cities, you would tend to see a lot more exposed brick on houses, because again, a lot of people from the UK moved into Northern Ireland, and they brought some construction stuff with them, so you would see a lot more brick in those places. But yeah, it is definitely very tricky. More subdivided windows here. Yeah. Like off the top of my head, for me, the windows would be the main clue here, as well as the driveways and the roofs, yeah, as I said.
Yeah.
Oh, GC, thanks so much for the sub. By the way, I didn't even notice.
No, it's a great stream.
Thank you. Anyway, yeah. Let us move on to Midlands, Nottingham.
Yeah, so this is I would say kind of a mixture. It's kind of it's similar to the Blackburn location that I showed you, but obviously you can see differences. So Nottingham is in like the Midlands area of England. So yeah, you've got this kind of exposed brick, red brick. You do have very small like walled gardens in front of the houses, typical like terraced houses as well.
Yeah,
And yeah, like they have the two sides of the streets are slightly different because you've got the bay windows on one side and then very kind of flat on the other. But yeah, I would say this isn't like typical Northern England. I'd maybe go slightly more southern. As Joe said, yeah, like you see these a lot in like Birmingham, Coventry, Leicester, places like that. But you do get these everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah, this is very like English. I think yeah, it's quite a good representation of kind of Midlands area.
Anyway, yeah, this is definitely like a I don't know, quintessential British location for me. Yeah, what I wanted to point out here were the bay windows once again. Super typical for Britain.
Yeah.
Yeah, wanted to get more light, get more floor space. On the other side of the street, we have a more modern neighborhood. I would say this is like the 50s in my mind, like the 30s to the 50s. Just like these duplex houses. Like I think the classical terrace style of like endless rows of buildings kind of went out of style after World War II. Because yeah, I guess it was associated with like poverty and slums and stuff. So these duplex houses were really popular, and you can see another typical British style of windows here. This triple divided style with like a smaller window in the top left or top right.
Mm-hmm.
This is another kind I see a lot in Britain. Like you see this style a little bit in other countries such as the Netherlands, but in this like small format, I think that I've only seen it in Britain ever. Yeah. Anything else to add, guys?
Not for me.
Okay. Yeah, very good. Let's move on. Sorry, I got a little bit derailed. My stepdad has asked me to pick up my brother tomorrow from school, so kind of had to switch my brain over. Yeah. This is a location I added. This is a village in southwest UK. I'm not sure what the county is here, actually. But yeah, what I definitely want to point out here were these roofs, these thatch roofs. And in general, this kind of like fluffy look. Stone houses, thatch roofs, like just these windows sticking out. This is something where you would sort like a rom-com or something like that. Like a very stereotypical image of like peaceful rural England. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I've not seen too many like this. Like yeah, I don't even know what to say because I've not seen many that kind of roof. I've probably seen a couple of times before, but never I don't really know what else I can add. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I've seen the roof before, but I haven't seen
Yeah.
it mixed with the two types of
Yeah.
stone. I've never seen it with like the grey stone before. I've mostly seen it with the red brick, but you get it quite a lot in, as I said, south, like East Anglia way, mostly southern England, definitely.
Because apparently it's common in Somerset and Devon. I've never
Yeah.
really been there,
Mm-hmm.
and not really been to East Anglia either. So that's probably why I've not seen too many of these.
Yeah, in my experience, you see this kind of roof on a lot of like listed buildings that are like half timbered or like Tudors. Because I'm guessing it used to be a lot cheaper than bricks, so a lot of houses used to use this. Now it's just like a novelty. One other thing I
Yeah, and
wanted
I
to...
think.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was just gonna say I think it's quite expensive as well, so a lot of people get rid of it. Like I think you have to replace it every like 30 or so years. So a lot of people can't be bothered to replace it because it costs quite a lot.
I'll be back in 1 second. I'll just be literally 1 minute.
Oh, of course. Yeah. One other thing I want to point out here was this, like, where these like cutouts in the overhang for the windows. It's something I haven't really seen in outside of UK, especially with this kind of roof. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, and if you
No,
move
I
on
haven't seen that before either.
yeah, and if you move over to this house over here, we have this tiny bay window, like a inlet window. I don't know. Yeah, on these little supports. You also see that in the UK on older buildings quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice place. Somebody was asking where this is. This is in Enstigum. Jesus, this is a... Jesus, what are these names? What did I
Oh no,
stumble
I've never
upon?
heard that one.
Yeah, this is in... I'm not sure what the county is actually. I think it's Dorset or... No,
Yeah, that's Dorset. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're probably gonna wait for GC. With the next location. How many do we have left in the UK? We have, oh, Cotswolds, that's another one of mine. I guess we can open up in the meantime.
Sure.
Oh, we're looking at the floor. Yeah, this is in the Cotswolds, AONB, a very famous area, tons of tourists. Yeah, there's another one of those stone areas that Simerodge mentioned before. It is Wiltshire there, Wiltshire. Yeah, sorry, I really don't
It
know
must
why.
be on the border.
I really don't know why UK counties. Yep. So yeah, this is a very typical like honey-colored stone in this area. And you see it a lot around these villages because again it's an AONB, so a lot of special protections apply. I don't know if you can like demolish one of these or put a new facade on them without special permission. So these villages definitely do have a look associated with them.
I like the roofs on these. They're very old style roofs.
Yeah, it's like slate again. It's very hilly here. Probably some quarries around. I would say this stone color is pretty like limited to this area. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, there's some kind of sand. This has a slightly like you say honey shade to it. I think you get some sandy coloured stone in other parts of the UK, but this particular hue, very yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I saw a house that had this kind of stone color, I would go for the Cotswolds almost automatically. So I definitely wanted to mention that because it is a pretty small area, but it just has a very distinct look.
Mm.
So I
Yeah,
thought it worth mentioning.
I'd never heard of this region, honestly, so this is something new for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you can also see a lot of peaks here as well. It's another English thing. That's a lot more common in stone houses as well. I guess they want to flex. Like, look how much stone we have to build our house with. And again, you have also these half dormers like sticking into the roof, like we've seen in that Irish house before. Yeah. Anything to add, guys?
Nope.
Okay, and we have a couple more questions left. Okay, this is a Tudor style house in southeast UK.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
Hiddenden, I've heard of that. Whereabouts is that again? Definitely.
Yeah, I'll check it out after we've talked about this.
I'll have a look. I'll click on the link.
Yeah, a particular feature of the Tudor houses I want to point out. First of all, of course, the half timbered style, like with the timbers, and in between it's usually white, but you can see like unpainted red brick as well, like filled in between. It generally looks very, I don't know how to describe it, like kind of crooked, or like it's very obvious it's very old. It's like, yeah, it's like sloping down here underweight and sloping out and down. It's like a feature of the of half timbered houses all over, because I guess of the way the timber's kind of bent under the weight of the house.
The crookedness, is very. I think there's a series of similar buildings on Chancery Lane that are like really, really crooked as well.
And another sort of typical feature are these windows, like these very wide and kind of windows with these like more robust subdivisions, like you see here and here.
Yeah.
And these like sticking out like this bay window on these supports. That's what I also associate with Tudor architecture.
They look freezing, those windows. You can tell in the winter just by standing next to them, you'd feel cold.
Yeah. It looks pretty though.
Yeah, really nice.
Very pretty. Yeah, but definitely the most striking feature of Tudor houses is the half timbering.
Ooh, check out Jojo's comment. Have you seen what he said?
The windows are sticking out because you would. Oh, oh, okay, that makes a ton of sense actually.
Yeah.
It still does look pretty though.
I feel like we learned that in primary school or something. It's one of those things that we probably, when we were learning the Tudors or something, it's probably one of those facts that keeps kids' attention.
Yeah. Really nice. Like, what I would say would point me, if I saw this house, what would point me to England instead of other areas where half timbered buildings are common would definitely be the windows. Like these windows sticking out on supports. That's just an English thing, like associated with this type of house, and like basically in general. And like these like wide subdivided windows in general are more of a British or English thing. Very rarely see those outside, actually. Yeah, here we have an example with unpainted bricks. It's just timbers and bricks.
Mhm.
Yeah, very nice. Let's check out where this is actually. Biddenden.
I had a look. It
is Kent. Yeah. Very nice. So yeah, we have one last location prepared, which is a large city council block. So again, kind of jumping all over.
Yeah. I put this in. I just thought it's the thing to say about this is probably with these kind of blocks that were built in, I guess, like kind of 60s, very kind of concrete looking. You're going to find them more in the bigger cities in the UK. So yeah, there's not a huge amount to say about it, but it's just look out for these. You'll find these in all the kind of bigger cities of the UK. Yeah, very kind of 60s concrete look to them.
Yeah.
Generally seeing this kind of thing, I'd go for London or Manchester, Birmingham, or a few of the other bigger ones.
Yeah, British architects in the 60s and 70s were in love with brutalism, like this exposed concrete look, or like on like apartment buildings. This is definitely something very common in Britain, which I mean, I guess it was a trendy at the time, but it really didn't age well with the humidity.
Some of it does. I'm going to send a link in chat of something that's really nice.
Yeah. I'm not saying brutalism is bad in general, but like
right.
it tends to get very gray and kind of depressing, which is why I think, the primary reason why people associate it with like dystopian imagery and stuff. Yeah, for example, if you were to compare this to the Netherlands, you really wouldn't see this kind of building in the Netherlands or that kind of area, because you would prefer to use bricks as an outside, or painted white or whatever. Like this exposed concrete look, like it's something I kind of associate with Britain in buildings like this. Although it's not strictly Britain, obviously.
And don't Britain tend to build higher than other Western European countries? Like, you wouldn't get something that high in France or Belgium. Is that true?
Yeah, that is actually kind of true. I think that's Britain has a kind of unique structure of social housing compared to most European countries, because it's either tend to be like terraces that we've seen, or like that Scottish location. It's like duplexes, like one story high buildings, or it tends to be tower houses like this. Like in most of the rest of Western Europe, you would see like blocks of flats that are like 3 to like 8 stories high, in a small neighborhood, like scattered around the park or whatever. Only in the UK do you really do have either like a suburban structure or like a really huge tower blocks like this. That's definitely true. Yeah, UK definitely has a lot fewer of like those separated like 4 to 8 story apartment building you would see in making up a lot of European cities outskirts. Just something I noticed. Yeah. Very good. So I think that's it for UK. Do you guys want to share anything else, or?
Yeah, as I said, the UK country streets map is good if you're wanting to challenge yourself. But also,
record holder, by the way.
I am, yeah.
Good.
But I don't know. I was told this by, I think it was Sixth String, actually. I don't know. It actually helped me to get some countries in which some like English housing estates. I mean, these houses aren't probably the best example of what I'm trying to say, but their windows are basically like on the building, whereas in places like Scotland or Wales, well, typically Scotland, the windows are kind of sunken back a little bit from the main wall.
Okay.
It's just a very small feature that I've found. So if you're kind of struggling with Northern England and Scotland, it's maybe something to have a look at.
Okay, that's nice word. I wanted to ask QC. If you look at my stream, I have here a location, like a place with all of this yellow brick, with like these red brick and white elements.
Yeah,
Would you say this is something typical to London?
No, it's not that usual. Like you see behind the 20, just to the left a bit.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, if you look back towards the west, sorry, the east.
Okay.
So behind the 20 there, the red brick, that's quite. You see that kind of thing a lot in London. The yellow brick though is slightly more unusual. Like you would see that color, but I think the combination of the yellow and red is not something you'd see particularly often. It's just
Okay.
like London
it
is
quite a lot.
so, yeah, London's so diverse that it has all these like small unique pockets of like weird styles of building. There's not necessarily any reason to it.
Yeah,
Kind
because
of honey
it
color
just
a lot in. Sorry, I was just gonna say I see that kind of honey color a lot in Cambridge.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Simi, what were you gonna
yeah.
say?
No, so no, I didn't have anything of substance to add really. We had a question from Jacqueline in the chat. Any word on Isle of Man architecture? Certainly not from me. Do you guys have any ideas?
They really like
From me either, to be honest.
quite Irish looking. I think.
You drop into
I don't
typical Isle of Man village. Yeah, definitely looks very similar to Ireland. Like you have the black roofs, the white or the exposed stone, the two-part windows. Yeah, not a lot I would say stands out to me here as unique.
I would say, yeah, this bit is quite Irish looking. Other bits of it, you could maybe say are similar to what you might find in Wales, I think.
Yeah, maybe what I would say stands out to me here from Ireland are those slight bits of decoration around the windows on certain buildings, like on this one we're looking at right now. Although I definitely couldn't tell you what's differentiates this from the rest of UK. That's probably only useful from like saying this is in Ireland. Yeah, I really don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't really know either. It's a bit too specific for my knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. We are now going to move on to northern France. Let me open maps for a second. Trying to text myself. For purposes of this, like, I don't know, episode, whatever you want to call it, I decided to take only France north of Paris and like down to, I guess, like north of this line running from Nantes to and Paris to Reims. I'm really sorry for those pronunciations, by the way. Since I think that's the most like northern European looking bit that people might confuse with other like northern or northwestern parts. Like basically the architecture south of that line in general is more Mediterranean or Central European looking. So I kind of wanted to leave that for another episode. Yeah, but we are gonna look at it now. It's still quite a lot to go through. So the first location we have is a Breton village, and I think this is a location for one of you guys. So I'll let you speak.
I mean, mine. Just a second. Okay, yeah. Simi, I'm sure you have something to say about the shutters, but I think just generally speaking, quite a lot of grey in the Breton architecture. It's kind of what I wanted to point out here, particularly on the roofs, like similar to what we saw in Ireland, and that might be a geological thing, given that they're kind of, just across the sea from each other. They probably have, similar rock types and stuff, so that explains the similarities in the roofs. Don't have a massive amount to add on that. I don't know, Simi, you said you were kind of exploring the windows and the shutters. I don't know if there's anything here that you notice.
I wanted to add that a lot of the town or a lot of the houses in Brittany are like very, very white, and then they have black roofs like those in Ireland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there are similarities that are like geological as well as cultural, because obviously they're both Celtic, but obviously they kind of share a rock type because they're just on opposite sides of the sea.
But obviously the big difference between Ireland would be like the shutters here.
Yeah.
We wouldn't find those shutters definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Brittany is a very distinct area in France because, as you said, it does look very Irish. Like you have those windows, you have those chimneys at the sides of the buildings, very Irish. You have whitewashed houses. You have black roofs. Uh, Black roofs in general is like the, I think, most recognized feature of like northern, especially northwestern France over the rest of the country. It's like mostly slate roofs. Um,
Another thing in not just, this isn't just northwestern France, but in France generally, you do get a lot of these quite narrow streets that are made narrow by the fact that the houses come right up to the roadside almost.
yeah, and definitely like the main feature that distinguishes from Ireland are the shutters. Of course, I don't think I've ever seen a window shutter in the UK or Ireland. I might have a couple of times in the UK, but definitely not in Ireland. And here you see shutters everywhere. Like France in general loves shutters. Like there's so many different types. Actually, let me post my shutter cheat sheet here. I posted it in the Geoguessr Pro community Discord yesterday.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
Oh, did I not? Did I not accept the link?
In chat or?
Oh, in the Discord. I thought I posted a link.
Yeah, you
posted
put it
something, I
in.
saw something.
You put it in the resource section in the GeoPro community.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm a boomer, but if you want to check it out, it's gonna be in the Geoguessr Pro community Discord.
It's really good.
In the Geoguessr resources sections. Anyway, yeah, sorry about it. Anyway, what do we have here? This is the like what I christened the French plain style, which is like a one solid slab of wood. Over here you see like the vertical style, which is like several different planks stacked together, and over here, this house we have like a diagonal, which is a plank like running diagonally, holding the rest together. So yeah, those are the most common French shutters. Oh, and we have the fourth most common type here as well. You have this this subdivided with like little narrow planks or whatever they're called. Yeah, so definitely the shutters are the main feature here. This is like a great location actually, because one other thing I wanted to point out here are these like peaks on this house. This is a very French-looking feature, just because you have like this big overhang with like poking back a little bit at the top. There's like this type of architectural feature associated with France a lot. Like you see this in other parts of France as well. I'm sure for the rest of France I'll find more examples of this. But yeah, also another thing, curved windows at the top. Also, the French love doing that. And you have even curved shutters. I think curved shutters are essentially a French specialty. Like not a lot of other countries use curved shutters, so yeah, this location is like a gold mine of French specific features. And one last thing I wanted to point out here is what I call the French mansard, which is like a roof style, where at the bottom the roof goes very sharply up and then slopes more gently back at the top. That's also very common in France. Here is
you see that on the top of some Parisian buildings in a slightly different, not exactly the same, but the similar like angles to the really steep sloping bit, and then it cuts in.
it's very common in France, and it's done to enlarge roof space, so Definitely not
Mhm.
surprised it's common in Paris because the rents were always insane there, and you have dormers
Yeah.
looking out of it.
I put a Parisian location into the sheet actually, and I think it shows that kind of roof as well.
Yeah, I saw that actually. Yeah, you can see very steep at the bottom, gentle in the top. Yeah, very nice. Let's look over the next one. Go in a more logical style. Let's look at another Breton location. This is one of mine, and this is more like a there's more like again like a rural location, but it's not more modern. This is more like a like a suburb. It's like where like Parisians would build their retirement houses or whatever. Again, you can see it's very plain. It's white. It has a black roof. You have the chimneys at the sides. What would differentiate this from Ireland here would first of all be the dormers on this house. You wouldn't see this kind of dormer, like this wide, big dormer in Ireland. Also the shutters and everything, they are even red here, like the Irish wouldn't stand this kind of color, I guess. Yeah, what else would you say here, guys, would make this stand out as Breton, or like French in general?
These roofs are a lot more vertical than the ones that we've seen in Ireland, especially,
Yeah.
which could be a way to tell them apart.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. Anything else to add?
And I think yeah, that's there are quite a lot of similarities, aren't there? But yeah, the point about the roof is definitely true.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Also, on this house here, we see like stone awnings around the windows. There's gonna be another hint that this is not Ireland because
Yeah.
again, Irish houses are very plain. Oh yeah, and I definitely this is a great example of the steepness of the roofs that RC just mentioned. You can see very plainly here. It's way steeper than anything you would see on the British Isles.
Yeah, it's noticeably steeper. Yeah.
Yeah, you can also see a lot of exposed stone in Britain and France in general. Actually, stone seems to be the main building material all over France, except for a brown bit that we'll look at in a little bit. But I have one more Breton location to go. I think this was a Jesus location.
Oh yeah, I kind of this isn't necessarily useful because it's quite rare, but I just wanted to point this out because it's actually quite interesting. This is in Rennes actually, but I think you find this in some other places. This is what the like old style of Breton architecture looked like. So it's like these kind of wooden.
Yeah, I've seen these before once, and I confused them with the Alsace-Lorraine region because I thought this style of like
Oh yeah, I think you can see similar stuff there as well, can't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it was in Brittany. It was in a town called Dean. I saw it.
Okay.
It was it looked very similar to this.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. Actually, another good town to look at is Saint-Malo as well.
Oh yeah,
I'll put a link in chat about anything interesting. But the center of Saint-Malo is quite nice.
Yeah, this is I'm glad you added this location because this is like this is very typical of like northern France of the typical old architecture. This is once again the half timbered style. What I would say stands out here from like other areas with half timbered architecture is that the timbers have very intricate patterns. Like you see this on this like brownish house here and also here. Like they really, you can see it wasn't just a pure choice of building material for them. Like they really try to make it look cool and like expensive. So, and out here as well. So yeah, there's definitely one feature I would say points to like this area of France. Another thing is that they tend to be painted a lot of different colors. Like in the UK, for example, Tudors, timbers usually tend to be black or like wood color. Here they paint them blue. They paint them like light brown. They paint them red. All kinds of colors, and also the windows tend to be quite big compared to other regions, especially like Germany or Alsace. Also, for example, if you look at this on this red building, these are huge windows.
You see some inside Mont Saint Michel. Actually, you see some architecture like this as well.
Yeah. This is like this is different. This is different, like quintessential northern French architecture. You see this kind of half-timbered, like a really intricate half-timbered style, especially in Brittany and Normandy. But you can see very similar houses all over France, like basically down to like Lyon or that whole area.
Yeah.
It's very, very typical. I don't exactly know how I would distinguish it from Alsace and RC said, but I'm sure I'll find something in time for when we do the next one, which is going to include Alsace. So yeah.
Yeah, I sent a link of that town that I was talking about.
I think I've driven past that town, Radu, actually, on the way to Saint-Malo.
Interesting.
Okay, nice. Yeah, let's move on actually to another region, which is going to be in the northeast by Belgium. The Haute Picardy or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And this is actually I picked this one because if I get this in a country streak and I had no text or plates or whatever, I would be kind of screwed here because there's not a lot I can really point out that would make this stand out from Belgium. It's just extremely similar. Like obviously you can point out that some typical French features. For example, you see the mansard here with their extremely steep roof. You can see that over there as well. There's also a very French style of dormer there. Like if I go closer to this building, there's like an extremely northern French Belgian style of building. It's like you can still style of building with the brick integrated with the stucco elements, really steep roof. Yeah. But if I were to point out what makes this stand out from like Wallonia, I really don't know what I'd point at. Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's tough to distinguish. I think it's a lot of the buildings are basically identical. There might be a bit more variety in the French side, like some of these buildings where they're paler. Would you see them as often in Belgium?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's true. Also
I think
also a lot more color, probably a lot more like whites and yellows and kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that is true. Yeah, we're gonna go over a lot of these features that you see here in the when we move over to Belgium. I just wanted to point out that this is you don't see you don't really see exposed brick in France except for this bit, which is why I wanted to include it, so you don't get confused when you see brick and it ends up being France. It is. I'm gonna show you. It's like, this area basically from the Belgian border down to maybe like Amiens. Basically this whole province. Pas de Calais. That's basically where you'll see the brick look up there. Down here it gets more stereotypically French. Yeah, let's anything to add, guys?
Nope, not from me.
Okay, let's move on to a village in sort of this northern region. And here, once again, you can see exposed brick, which is very atypical for France, outside of this northeastern bit. You can also see shutters with the diagonal bit, which is a good indicator for France, although it isn't. Obviously, the shutters are not just in French ink. This we'll see. Like roofs as well.
Yeah, this is exactly what I would mistake with Belgium. I feel like in that urban one, I might stand a chance and go France, but this one's definitely one where I would be more likely to go Belgium. But I think what you said about the shutters with the diagonal, that's definitely something I'll look out for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be an extremely tough location in a country streak. I think what
Yeah.
would make me go France here would be, yeah, the shutters. Like you can see shutters like this in southern Belgium as well, which makes it so tricky. But yeah, especially this style, like with these like really narrow lines. I would say there's a lot more common in France than in Belgium.
Yeah,
So
I would probably end up going Belgium. There's something about the feel of the street as well that feels Belgian.
Yeah.
To me. I'm not sure how to describe it, but
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, the feel. Also, what I point out on this house is like these like a little bit curved white things at the top of windows. That's a very typical French thing. Like you see that a lot in France, especially if it is.
sorry to me.
If you look at my stream, it's like there's like a bale house with like these slightly curved white bits around the top of the windows, and that's a very typical French feature. You see this on the countryside as well. I'm guessing they used it because it just paint. It didn't cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
You said it in Belgium sometimes as well, but it's very typical in France, especially if you like a pale background, not just bricks. But that's more or less what I want to point out here. Anything to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, very good. Well, let's move on. If another example of a more northern village. Oh my god, what did I do? Sorry, boomer moment.
Confirmed boomer.
Alright, yeah, this is in Pays de la Loire, which is like in between Brittany and Paris. And what immediately stands out here from Brittany and the kinds of locations we've seen before is the color. A lot more color all around on the houses, on the shutters. You see blue shutters here, blue shutters there. It's not just white or like light blue maybe anymore. The houses aren't just white or gray anymore. The roofs are like a brownish red instead of black.
Instead of the dark grey. Is this somewhere around Nantes?
I'm sure. I'll check it afterwards. I think it's more closer to like Le Mans, but I'm not sure.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you can also see these like dormers, half dormers again poking out. This is also a pretty common feature in northern parts of France. But I would say would differentiate. I said before that these half dormers were a pretty typically British thing. What I would say this distinguishes these from Britain are definitely the windows. Like first of all, shutters. Basically no shutters in Britain or Ireland. Second of all, the windows are very different to what we've seen in the UK or Ireland. You have these double subdivision, diagonal subdivision. So yeah, that's more like the typical form of a older style European window, as opposed to like those super divided English or double divided Irish windows you would see. Also, you have this these like pseudo stone decorations around the windows, also very common in France.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's typically it's some unlike older buildings, it's actual stone, or it can be done in paint, but it's like irregular bricks or stones around the windows. It's yeah, very typical France. And another French thing are these white awnings around windows. That's super typical in all over France. Like they can be a little bit more intricate or more detailed, but these like white stucco outlines and awnings around the windows, very French, definitely very French. Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna have to go in about 15, Simi, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is taking a lot longer than I expected.
No. It's really. I'm actually surprised how much detail we can go into in every location. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate your perspective on this.
It's really interesting to just talk it through, because a lot of the time in Geoguessr, like there's actually 1,000 things you could look at in any one location, and it's just amazing how many things that you've never really like.
Except when you're in Australia, there's not much to look at.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I think with buildings in particular, there are always 100 different details that you could notice and remember. But it's just interesting to see how many times we've seen these things without actually making a proper note of those details.
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah. Once again, I'm gonna point out the shutters here. You have these diagonal ones. You have plain wood. Plain wood is really common in France. Like plain wood, white, or like some color, some really bright color. Yeah. Let's move on to the next location. Yeah, more Belgian style buildings in northeastern France. I'm not sure whose location this is.
Probably. Oh, that was mine. Yeah, I think I just threw that in as another. I think that dark brick here is quite interesting. That's almost Dutch.
Yeah, that's really interesting actually.
Yeah, I saw this and I thought it was interesting, so I wanted to put it in. I think a lot of it is stuff we've already covered in the other northeastern France locations, but this brick I've found quite interesting. It doesn't seem very French. It seems. I'm sure I've seen that coloured brick in the Netherlands quite a lot before.
Yeah, definitely does seem would. I don't know if I would go Belgium here without the lights or not. Very cool. Well, actually, what I'm putting a point out here is this house here, which is like an Art Deco house, and you have this like triple divided window with like the balcony window here. That's something I see very commonly in France. It's like a feature of French Art Deco, and also you have this like a real wide, big curved window down here, and it's also very common in like Belgian and French Art Deco. It's like playing with the brick.
Yeah, this kind of house looks kind of new to me. I've never really noticed this style before.
Yeah, it's I don't actually know what it is, but I just call it like French or like brick Art Deco.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Yeah, okay, let's move on to the next location. What have we not seen here? We've seen these. Yeah, more Breton roofs. So to pop into Brittany.
I think I put that in. There's probably not much to say. I think it's just another illustration of what we were talking about before.
Yeah, the really dark roofs here. Also, you can see better the like stone or brick awnings around the windows I was talking about earlier. You can see it's very clearly here.
And another thing that's useful here is a lot of the kind of churches and castles in Brittany have those kind of slate-colored like kind of steeples on them.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So yeah, it can be really easy to recognise Breton castles actually because they have that. You can see examples of it in Nantes. Yeah, there's. I'm going to try and find a picture actually of a Breton castle, and I'll link it in chat. But they're really distinctive looking.
Yeah,
Not that they come up every day in Geoguessr, but it's still useful.
Yeah, that's really interesting. If we were to dive into like sacral or like castle architecture, we could spend twice as much time on these regions. But maybe I can do some special feature someday. But yeah, that's very interesting. But I think like the most apart from the roofs, the most common feature here are these awnings here, like jutting out. It's pretty much just a French thing. I haven't really seen that elsewhere. Yeah, let's move on. And this is gonna be typical Parisian. So we are in Paris. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be doing any French pronunciations.
It's good. It's good. I think I put this one in, and yeah, very high buildings that come up quite close to the street. A lot of the time, how many stories are we talking here? Yeah, that seems like the typical height of the kind of the blocks you have in central Paris. 7 stories or something like that. And then you can sort of see the roofs that have those. It's the same kind of steepness that we were talking about with some of the other French roofs we looked at.
Yeah, it's a mansard. Yeah. What really sells this as Paris to me are these balconies around the top, like on the top floor or the second to highest floor. That's like a very typical Parisian feature to me, as well as those mansards. Because like as we said, like Paris has always been extremely expensive to live, so the landlords tried to utilize every bit of space they could. So they tried to really like make the roofs as space efficient as possible, and squeeze as many people there as possible. So you have like 2 floors and basically sticking out of roofs, and the balcony there. In general, the like really wide balconies that stretch across the entire length of the house. It's a big big French city thing in general, but especially Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you can see, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say I think you can find this style in like Lyon and Geneva as well.
Yeah, but like with the mansards and the balconies at the top, I think I would associate this most common with Paris.
Yeah.
Like especially if it's like all the buildings you see are all around. Like obviously, you can see this type of building in those other big French cities as well. But like if it's like virtually every building you see, you're probably in Paris.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's the balconies, the mansards. Also, you can see more of those white awnings around the windows. That's a lot more intricate here than we've seen before, but once again, yeah, really taken really common French, like not really sticking out from the background material, but still very intricate. Yeah, let's move on to the other locations. Give me a second. And this is going to be a typical suburb. I think this is my location. Which is in Courmayeur, and Paris is. I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't do that anymore. But it's like a typical like small town or suburban location, which is like more like middle class. There's nothing really that revolutionary here we haven't discussed before. You have the dark roofs, which is like a feature of northern France, but also some red roofs. So you probably aren't in Brittany or that whole area. You have a lot of shutters here, some colorful shutters as well.
I'm going to look at this one on the map. I'm just interested to know exactly where it is. So it's near Paris. And
Yeah, it's like a suburb of Paris. I think it's like to the west, like close to Argenteuil or something like that. Yeah, another thing I want to point out here is again that feature I mentioned, like that slightly curved like awning at the top of the window. You can see it very clearly here, like actually made out of stone and brick. That's a very French thing.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love Paris, you know.
Yeah, Paris is nice. Like I haven't been there actually since I was like 12, but I want to go back. Very cool. Yeah, anything else you guys want to point out here?
Not here, no. I think the Parisian suburbs are really interesting actually because they can sometimes look so different. They always take me by surprise, really, because like most of the bits of Paris that I've seen, all kind of it's fairly uniform, and then these suburbs just look completely different. And I would never on Geoguessr I would tend never to guess near Paris for this kind of location, but it's just surprising what you can get.
Yeah, this is really baity. Like if I saw this on Geoguessr, I would probably go more south, like yeah, more like that was a Lyon and stuff. The suburbs can be a lot more homogeneous in France than like the old towns and the countryside. Also, every possible kind of shutter here. Yeah, let's move on to the next one, which is I wanted to point out this particularly as the examples of the French mansard, as you can see here. This is in Neuilly-sur-Seine, which is actually the second wealthiest town in France, if I read it correctly. So some fancy lads live here. Again, you can see very steep at the bottom, more curving more gently towards the top, with dormers sticking out. And you can also see the general trends of French architecture, like you can see the shutters here. You can see like the stone awnings around the windows, like around here you can that blend with the background.
This would be a nice place to live. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, no doubt. But I don't know how many people can actually afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this like curved bit at the top, by French. Yeah, that's just the roof. What I want to use as an example for the roof. And one more. It's what I called French light stone. This is actually the wealthiest town in France. Actually wanted to look up some like big fancy mansions so I could point things out on that, but I couldn't really find anything, so I used this one. And it's like the typical building material you're gonna see France like all over country, and it's just like light whitish stone. You can see it here as well. Like compared to like Ireland, UK, what we've seen, the stone used there is either more yellowish or more grey. Here it's very bright, it's very white.
Yeah,
pale is probably a good word for it.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I think you can see this like all over France, kind of. I've definitely seen this in Western France. I think even around like Lyon, they have this kind of stone as well, maybe.
Yeah. Also, you have a lot of shutters here. Again, this kind of blend of shutters, I think is a pretty much a giveaway for France, because you have this style with the little diagonal blanks. You have this diagonal style. You have the more plain style over here. Like in other like Mediterranean countries or countries that use shutters, it's typically like one style is very prevalent, and here it's just all over the place. But that's a little bit of a obscure clue, I guess. Again, couple other things I can point out here. Once again, the roof style, very steep. The windows, you have the typical old style European windows with the double vertical dividers, and over here we have the half dormers sticking into the roof. Again, a combination of black and red roofs, so we're probably somewhere like kind of towards the north, but not really that far up. Yeah, anything you would add here, guys?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
It's interesting to see that mix though of the roof colors are all a bit all over the place.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
I probably have to dip after now that we've. Is that the end of France?
Yeah, that is the end of France. We are now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, before we move on to another country, I'm probably going to have to just drop out. But I will make sure I catch the rest of it, and it's unbelievably useful and detailed as well.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us today.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been really, really good.
Yeah, see you, GC.
Yeah. Bye, Radu. Bye, Simi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, see you soon.